Hello, hello. I am so excited to get to share the very first training for our speech support membership. A whole year that we get to spend together. I get to support you and share all the things that I've learned over my 20 years of learning and practicing as a speech language therapist. I've collated it all for you, right down to for all the things that I know work, left out all the things that I know don't, all the little tips and tricks that help and support. And I've made it all really easy, really applicable, practical. I know we've all got really busy lives, so we need to find a way to make it work. So this is what this year is all about. Most of the trainings will be around 10 minutes long. You'll get to be there live with me if you want to experience it live and ask questions at the end. If you can't make it live, but you want to watch the replay, they'll be uploaded onto the membership dashboard along with any of the relevant handouts. And we'll have fortnightly group calls where we can get together. We can problem solve whatever's happening with your child. If you've hit any roadblocks, if there's anything that you're finding a bit tricky, or you just want another perspective, that's what those calls are for. All right, let's get into this one. Sharing the screen for you. And let's make it big. All right. Here we go. I might move myself down here. Okay, so this one is basic principles for working on speech sounds with your child. These are all really common sense, really fundamental principles for working on speech sounds with your child. A lot of these are ones that I have come up with myself as I've learned what works with children. There's been lots of aha moments for me. There's been a lot of like, I can't believe it took me years and years to figure this one out, but they're all things that are easy to work into things that you're already doing with your child. They're going to make all the difference for you. So let's get started. Oh, there's my little arrow. There we go. Okay, so everything that is here in this training is summarized in the tips to support speech practice handout that's available in your speech sound handout bundle. And I'll also upload it in the membership dashboard with this training so that it's all together for you. So the very first tip is face your child so that they can see your mouth. Now, this might seem really common sense, but it's something that many of us often will forget. When we're facing them, not only is the auditory signal going to them clearer and easier, it's not muffled, but they're also seeing what your mouth is doing. So they're able to see what your lips, your teeth, your jaw are doing when you're making the sounds. And it's just giving them the extra cues and clues about what you're saying and also how to make the sound for them. This is one that I cannot believe took me years and years to figure out, but it just wasn't covered in my course. But holding any objects that you want your child to look at up next to your mouth is going to direct their eyes there. It's not going to guarantee that they're going to look at the object or your mouth, but it's giving you a way better chance. So holding it there as you talk about it, that's giving them the cues about what it is that you're talking about. It's getting them to look up at your face, which is appropriate socially, and it's also helping them to link the sounds and words that you're saying with the object. So it's just making all those neurons fire and connect up together. Next one is saying the words slowly and carefully and clearly. I know that a lot of you will be doing this already, but it really does make a big difference. Again, it's just giving them a little bit of extra time to hear the sounds that you're making, to see the sounds that you're making, and then that's going to help them to make the sounds. Slightly overemphasizing the sound that you're focusing on is really useful. So for example, you might go rain for if you're focusing on the R sound, or kite if you're focusing on the K sound. And again, this is just helping the sounds go in a bit better, and it's also getting their attention. And so if you've got good attention, then you've got a better chance of learning. Stretching the first sound out can be a really useful one as well. So rain. And again, you're giving them extra time to look and hear the sound, figure out what to do with their mouth, and give it a go for themselves. Kite if you're working on the kiss sound, rain if you're working on the sound. And you can do this with any of the sounds that you're working on with your child. This is a technique that comes from the DTTC, hierarchical motor learning training. We're going to be covering that in a few weeks' time, but this is the first where you often start with the child, and that is asking them to say the word with you. Now, this is using mirroring, is using the mirror neurons in their head, in their brain, which helps with learning. And again, it's just they watching you, they're saying it with you. It just really supports them to say the word or the sound. And this is something that teachers often do. They'll get the children to say the sounds alongside with them when they're sitting on the mat and they're practicing. Then when they can do it with you saying it and them saying it, then you drop down a level and you ask them to say the word after you. So you say it and then they say it. So they get to watch and hear you do it, and then they get to give it a go themselves. This is another one that is really useful, especially at the beginning when the child is learning how to make the sound, using a mirror. So this is so that they can see what their mouth is doing. It can be tricky at the beginning if they haven't been used to making the sound before or thinking about how to make the sound. We need to figure out where everything goes. So the mirror is going to help them with that. They're going to see what's doing, and you'll see in the picture there that the little one is holding her tongue up there. So she's doing her best. She can't actually yet get her tongue to do what she wants it to do. So she's giving it a go with her fingers. And that's absolutely fine because she knows where she wants it to go and she's doing her best to get it there however she can. So you might use a handheld mirror. You might use a mirror that stands on the table in front of the child, or you might use a mirror that's already fixed in your house. So most people have a mirror above the sink in their bathroom. You can see in the picture that's where we are. And so to hook it into your everyday routine, what I usually recommend is for the child to have a wee practice of the speech sounds just before or just after teeth brushing twice a day. So that way you know that they are going to get that practice in 2 times a day. It might only be a minute each time, but then you know that you've had 2 minutes. And because you're hooking it onto a routine that's already happening, it's much more likely that it's going to happen. And in a busy life, we all need little tips and tricks and hacks like that. If you want to give them more support, you can stand so that they can see your mouth and theirs in the mirror. And so that's so that they can check and match their mouth movements against yours. And again, you can see in the picture that I'm standing behind them and I'm showing them what to do, where to put their tongue. So I would have done it first, and then I think I'm making the L sound in this one. So I would have gone, tongue goes up behind your teeth, L, like this. Your tongue needs to go here, behind your teeth, and then they're giving it a go. So you can see the elder one is able to do it without any assistance, and the younger one is doing her best to move her tongue by herself. Next one is talking about what your mouth does when you make the sound or word. So for example, if you're working on the R sound, you might say your lips are spread out like a smile and your tongue is pulled back. I've got descriptions for all the consonant sounds in English in a handout that again is in the speech sound handout bundle. And I'll attach it to this training too, but we'll be covering this in more depth in the next training. And there's these diagrams that you'll see here on the screen. and I'll be popping those into the Speech Sound Essential handout, which if you've chosen that one as your video course that you would like to have access to in this membership, then it'll be in there for you, and it's in the individual speech sound ones associated with the sound as well, if you've chosen a specific speech sound video course to go with that. If you are saying a word, you would talk about what your lips are doing for the sounds that you make the word. So for example, for wow, you might say your lips are round and small like a kiss. Ooh. And then they open wide. Ah. And then small again. Ooh. So like this. Wow. Small and round, open wide, and then small again. Wow. And you might direct your child's gaze and attention to your mouth and get them to watch while you do it, and then maybe you get them to do it with you, and then maybe have a go by themselves. Here's the Help Your Child to Learn Speech Sounds handout for info on how to describe the consonant sounds. And yes, we'll definitely be going over this more, and this coincides, the descriptions in this handout coincide with Rachel Harvey's teaching support cards that teachers are using with structured literacy. So if you're a teacher and you're using them, they're the same. And if your child's teacher is using them while they're teaching structured literacy, they're the same. They're the same because I wrote them for Rachel. So that's great. And what I've done is I've whittled them right down to the most important parts, and I've made them all match up with each other so that you've got the same information first, second, last in there. But I guess we'll be going into that more in the next training. So that's the end of this one. As you can see, short and sweet, but super practical, super applicable. The idea is for you to get the information in short, bite-sized amounts so that you can, first of all, take it all on. It's not going to be overwhelming, and you just walk away with only one thing from a full day lecture, but you've got a few things that you're like, oh yes, I can understand that, I can do it, and I can take it away and start using it with my child straight away. So there we go. I'm excited to be here with you. We're on our way. Let's do this. And any questions, you can pop them into the chat underneath this when I've uploaded it into the membership dashboard, or you've got my contact details. So, but great to keep the discussion all in one place so that anyone coming through later and watching it can learn from your questions as well. All right, my friends, I'll see you in the next one.